What's up, MMA fans? I'm Marcelo Alonso, talking from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And today we are joined by the CEO of LFA, Ed Soares. Welcome, my friend.
Hey, how are you?
Fine. Eddie, of course, we are talking about LFA coming to Brazil and everything, but last Saturday we had an amazing fight from Anderson Silva, who used to work with you during the whole career. And how did you see that fight against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.?
You know, I thought it was a difficult fight for him, being that, Anderson being 46 years old, doesn't have the experience that he has in boxing, but he proved the world, proved the world wrong that, Anderson didn't miss a step. I know he trained very, very hard for this fight. He was extremely motivated, and it was very nice for me to see him getting his arm raised again at the end of the fight. He deserves that for everything that he's done for our sport, and especially not only myself, but I know the whole MMA industry was rooting for him, and I don't think any other MMA has represented mixed martial arts so well in the boxing world. I mean, he went in there and fought a former champion and beat him. I know the judges had it as a split decision, but it was a unanimous decision for sure.
Eddie, Logan Paul invited him right after the fight to face Roy Jones Jr. in the same event. His brother is going to fight Tyron Woodley on August 28th. Is there any possibility that that fight happen?
You know what? I don't know. This particular fight wasn't done by Joinha and I. It was done by ICM. We didn't handle any of the business negotiations of this, but I can tell you that I'm not sure what he wants to do yet. I think he's still excited and very happy about the fight that he just had. And I think we have to just take one step at a time. I think if he continues to fight boxing, he's obviously shown that he can compete with the best. Look what he did against Chavez Jr. And but if he also decides to walk away, there's nothing wrong with that, because look what he did. He represented mixed martial arts in boxing like no other athlete has. And if he decides to walk away, he's walking away with his hand being raised against a very huge fight in his career.
As a friend, I know I'm not talking about a management, but as a friend of Anderson Silva, if he asks you, people want to see me against Vitor Belfort, MMA community want to see that fighting boxing rules, what advice would you give to him?
I mean, my advice in that is that, I don't see a reason to take that fight. I think the way that Anderson Silva beat Vitor Belfort I think it would be difficult for him to emulate another victory like that, especially in boxing. And I mean, at the end of the day, I would support Anderson in whatever choice he'd want to make. Me as his friend, me as his manager, I would say, why? He just beat a guy who was successful in boxing. He was a guy who was a world champion in boxing, and he just beat him. To me, unanimously, and to most of the world, unanimously. So I just don't see why do that. He's already got a huge victory over Vitor Belfort in a way that nobody else has ever done. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's the first guy to beat someone in a combat sport with a front kick. And he did that with Vitor Belfort. Then Lyoto came back and did it with Randy Couture. And then Lyoto came back and did it to Vitor Belfort again. So to me, at the end of the day, whatever Anderson chose to do, I would support him as long as he's happy and motivated. Anderson's a dangerous fighter.
Nice. Talking about another of your athletes, it's Patricio Pitbull. He's going to fight Mckee in the final of Bellator featherweight Grand Prix. How do you see that fight going?
Well, I think that's definitely the two best athletes, two of the best athletes in the GP, in the Grand Prix. So I feel, Vitor, no one can deny what Patricio Pitbull has done inside the Bellator cage. Hands down, he's the GOAT of Bellator. Everything, he's the guy who has the most victories. He's nobody has represented Bellator better in the world than Patricio Pitbull. AJ Mckee's the young, tough, young kid who's coming up. And I got to tell you, I was always worried about this fight. I'm still worried about it. It's a very good fight. It's a dangerous fight. But I can tell you, after Patricio's last fight, and when I saw them two look at each other in the cage, I think AJ realizes that it's not a joke anymore. This is really going to happen. But once again, you can never underestimate AJ Mckee, and he's beaten some tremendous fighters, and he's got all the tools to put on a good fight. But I believe in the end, Patricio Pitbull will maintain his title and win the Grand Prix also.
Ed, you and Joinha also manager of Alexsandro Pereira, Glory double category champion, and I've been talking with many MMA fighters, and they're very impressed by him. Lyoto Machida told me this guy's going to be the middleweight champion in 2 years of UFC. Jacaré Souza also told me he's really impressive. He's learning very fast to defend throws, and I think in few months he would give problems for most of middleweight division in UFC. And how long will it take for you and Joinha to take this guy to the UFC?
Well, I know Alex Pereira has a fight next month. He's defending his light heavyweight title in Glory. And then we'll see what happens. But I definitely believe that, I could see this happening. I could see him eventually, fighting in the UFC, hopefully by the end of this year. He had his MMA fight in the LFA. He had, one fight, he had the knockout of the year. But he's just a very talented athlete. He's very focused, very dedicated. There's not, I know he's known as a striker, but he's extremely hard to be taken down. He's extremely difficult to keep down. Guys like Glover saying they're having a hard time getting him down and a hard time keeping him down. That's definitely something to be said by yourself. So I believe that, Alex Pereira right now, not many people may know of him, but I think, you're a year and a half away from everybody knowing who this guy is.
Ed, talking about LFA now, tell us how you decide to bring the event to Brazil after 110 editions made.
Well, looking at the situation in Brazil and realizing that, with the pandemic going on and with just the lack of opportunities, in the past, there's always been so many great Brazilian champions and Brazilian fighters. And I've realized that especially during the pandemic, the opportunities for these Brazilian fighters just weren't there anymore. And it's not because there's a lack of talent in Brazil, but I believe there's just a lack of opportunity. And us bringing the LFA down, for me personally, it meant a lot because I feel that Brazilian MMA has done so much for me in my career. And I feel this is a way to give back to the Brazilian MMA community and give back some of what they've given us. And bringing the LFA down there and being able to put on a platform where these athletes can be seen and hopefully they can move up to the next level. That's what we're excited about. It's, there's so much talent there. There's just not enough opportunity. And there's so much talent that's just they're just stopped fighting. They're just stopping training because of the lack of opportunity. So I'm hoping that, starting off next month, we're going to do 2 events there, hopefully do 1 more by the end of the year. And our goal is next year to do 6 events or more in Brazil in 2022, and hopefully bring back some of these great athletes that have just been unseen, and hopefully give them an opportunity and a platform for them to show off their skills.
Eddie, you're gonna make two events in 2 days, 3 days in Brazil. You're gonna make two events. Can you? I know you're not release the cards yet, but can you give some news about the event?
Yeah, we're I think one of the interesting things is that we're gonna do a tournament style format. I think that will be really really cool. We're gonna do two fights in one night. And we'll be announcing that later this week. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. Yes, it's been incredible to see the overwhelming amount of emails and the amount of talent. Every single one of these fights could be on our main card. But we had to choose 7 fights for the main card and 3 or 4 fights for the prelims. But I can tell you that every one of these fights could be a main card fight. And we're very excited about that.
And it's going to be very important for Brazilian MMA community. We don't have a lot of platform right now to launch talents to USA. I'm sure you'll be very welcome over here, my friend. And talking about the relationship between LFA and the big events like Bellator and UFC, Eddie, do you have the numbers? How many athletes have you put in the UFC, for example?
Well, I think we're at around, I don't know the exact number because like I said, every day something changes, but I think we're around 250 athletes that we've sent to the UFC. And Bellator, I don't know. I know that last year in 2020, just in 2020, we sent 48 people to the UFC and 18 to Bellator in 2020. So when you're looking at that, around 66 people or whatever it is, we sent quite a few people to the UFC and Bellator last year, and that was during a pandemic. And like I've said before, the last 3 events, LFA 107, 108, and 109, all 3 of our main events got signed to the UFC relatively quick, within a week of their fights. I know Gregory Rodriguez got signed within 24 hours. I know Terrence Mckee signed pretty quick, and all 3 of them have won their debut. And Camuela Kirk was the other one. He was our main event for 107. 108 was Gregory. And I'm sorry, 108 was Gregory, and 109 was Terrence Mckee. And all 3 of them were signed, and they all won their UFC debut. So once again, it's proving that we're developing the best talent in the world, and they're being signed by the best event in the world.
So it's not a question for you to have the empty champions, empty belts in your events.
No, it's something we've been used to, and it's something we embrace, because as long as they, I think it's very rare for a fighter to defend their title in the LFA. Most of the time, they get an opportunity relatively quickly to move up to the next level. So it's very rare, and we embrace that. That's what we like. That's what we're here for. We're here to give them a platform so they can move on to the next level. And every time they get a phone call, it just makes us happy.
Also, you have the Blackhouse Edge. Tell us about how is your team right now? You and Jorge Guimarães, you take care of the Blackhouse, and you have trainers in there. You have fighters training in there. How is that?
Oh, it's great. I don't really deal too much with the Blackhouse gym. Yes, I'm still a partner in it, but our partner Elan is the one who handles all of that. But our coaching, we've got Jason Park is our Muay Thai coach. We've got Nico from Blackhouse Boxing, who actually was one of Anderson's boxing coaches, along with Luis Doria in for this fight coming up. We've got Kenny Johnson, who's been, he's been our almost, I consider him like the head coach there. He's ran our wrestling program there for many, many years. And then we have Juan Gomez, who's one of the striking coaches there. We have a guy named Rage, who's one of the coaches. So we have a lot of different, coaches that are there, and it's going well. We're actually in the process of probably moving locations, but we're not moving far. I think we're moving right across the street from our current location, but we got a new spot. So everything's going great there, you know. But like I said, I don't really deal with the day-to-day stuff. Elon has been doing a great job at running the professional team there.
Eddie, to finish, you passed through very high emotions during your career as manager with Anderson Silva, Lyoto Machida, Rodrigo Minotauro, and so many other fighters. I ask you to Paulo Filho. Oh my God, I cannot forget that guy. Choose for me the biggest emotions of your manager career.
You know, there's been a few, and you know, obviously the Nogueira fights were always very emotional. The one when he fought Randy Couture in Portland was incredible. The one where he won the title against Tim Sylvia. You've got Lyoto Machida, who, you know, when he knocked out Rashad. Anderson Silva, just so many numerous times that we've had with him. And then, you know, one of the times that really sticks with me was with Jose Aldo. And Jose Aldo, there was a time when we were in Sacramento. This is before he did the WEC did the first pay-per-view. And Jose, big dream at that time was to go to an NBA basketball game. And they sent us to the game up there in Sacramento, and we sat courtside in an NBA basketball game. And I remember when we got back to the hotel, I looked at Jose and I said, "Hey, what'd you think?" And it almost seemed like he had, you know, his eyes were, you know, he got all teared up, and he said that was one of the dreams he's had his whole life, was to go to an NBA basketball game. And I think as a manager, it's great to win. It sucks to lose, but to be able to be with these guys and help them, you know, fulfill their dreams, even if it's not in the fighting. I remember that really touched me. And I remembered that, how happy he was to be able to go to a game and to be able to be there and facilitate that with them was a great feeling. So like I said, I've been very lucky and blessed, because my career as a manager was incredible. And I've had so many moments. I can't name just one. We've had so many great moments.
Thanks a lot, Eddie. It was a very nice talk, and thanks for bringing LFA to Brazil. It's going to be amazing for our MMA community. We really need that in that moment. Thank you.
Thank you.